Guys, when the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready. Roman ready. Whether you've been in a relationship for years or you're just getting started, having the confidence that comes from preparation means that you're free to enjoy the moment when the moment comes. Even though you are far from ordinary, the truth is ED is really common. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, convenient, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Go to GetRoman.com/Chael. Do it today. And if you're prescribed, you're going to get $15 off your first month of ED treatment. Make sure you are ready and you have confidence. Roman ready. Chimaev, we've got a little bit of information. Now, a week ago, I came and I brought to you guys a rumor. And the rumor was that the holdup for Chimaev's return, not just the rumored match in April about Gilbert Burns, any kind of return was hedging on a visa. There was some kind of a visa issue. Okay. Now, I had to call that a rumor, but I liked it enough to bring it to you guys, only because it would make a little bit of sense. Obviously, something is going on with Chimaev. The entire Chimaev experiment was to bring him in there as quickly as you can, bounce in weight classes, make him the new version of Cowboy Cerrone, who everybody loves. So as soon as we stop doing that, you go, why? And there was some time you could buy, well, nobody will fight him. That got you a good 3 to 4 weeks. But unless you're calling Neil Magny, Belal Muhammad, Jeff Neal, unless you're calling those guys nobody, then that's no longer true. What are we going to do? Because the fight still didn't get made. Dana gives us one clue on Chimaev, and it had nothing to do with what the delay is. We find out about the delay. I bring that to you guys today now because Chimaev has finally spoke. He says, yes, that's exactly what it is. Just trying to get my visa worked out, got all the paperwork in. I'm not really sure what's with the process, but that's what I'm working through, and I plan to be fighting Gilbert Burns. Now, I saw it as an opportunity in a whole lot of directions, because when I talk about Dana's giving us one clue on Chimaev, that one clue was he's 4 fights away from even being in a conversation about getting in there with Kamaru Usman. Dana said the guy's had 4 fights. He's done a great job. Kamaru Usman is the greatest fighter in the world, pound for pound. That's ridiculous if you think I'm going to match him up quickly. Oh, great. But it was helpful when Dana said that because we did think that. We did think Dana was going to match him up quickly. We thought that was exactly the trajectory that Chimaev was on. All right, we've got our answer. Now, hold that thought for me just a moment, because there's one guy that's not going to let it ride. There is one guy that if you call out, he will fight you. He will find a way to fight you. He will never take a shot in the media and not throw 3 back. That man is called Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya over the weekend was called out by Chimaev. That's through Twitter. Adesanya does not have an obligation or time or an interest to respond to everybody who calls him out, particularly over Twitter. But Chimaev's not just anybody. Chimaev's undefeated. Chimaev's interesting. Chimaev is new blood. He's new parity, which I would think would be fun for Izzy. I think Izzy's excited about the Cannonier fight and has nothing to do with the style or the record of Cannonier. It's somebody new. I think. I'm following the golden rule on that one, which is to put myself in Izzy's shoes. What would I think? I want somebody new. Don't want the same guys unless the guy beats you. If you beat him, get him in the rear view, move down the road. So, Chimaev does check a couple of boxes. Chimaev, as great as he is in the world of wrestling, wouldn't even pretend to be Yoel Romero. So in all fairness, don't come and tell me Chimaev would just take him down and Izzy knows it. Izzy doesn't want to fight. You could be right. What I'm telling you is Izzy doesn't care. Go ahead. Izzy has gone out of his way to find the absolute hardest fights. Izzy should have lost to Yoel Romero. A Cuban Olympic wrestler versus a skinny kickboxer from New Zealand. Izzy asked for the fight. He does not care. His mind does not work the same. Izzy should not have beaten Jon Jones, but he tried to get in there. He should not have beaten Jan Blachowicz, but he did get in there. He goes out of his way to get beat because he's still curious, he's still young, and he wants to get better. I have to bring that to you because there is no part of Israel Adesanya that has fear. And that's not to say he doesn't have doubt. He's a human being. He doesn't know where his skills are. He just doesn't care. He doesn't let the idea of failure stop him from doing anything. He let this ride. Why? The guy who doesn't let anybody slide. Israel Adesanya has gone on ESPN and responded to fans that still find him over a kickboxing match he had 5 years ago, and he was pissed about it. Izzy sees everything. He lets nothing run. Why would he let Chimaev slide? I saw it as an opportunity. And don't forget what Chimaev is doing. It's a very classic, it's a very simple move, but it's also the right one. It's great to go after fights that you can't get. What's wrong with that? Izzy's got Cannonier next. There's no room for Chimaev. Chimaev's coming back at 170. There's no room for Chimaev. So feint the idea. You couldn't be more safe. You couldn't be more protected. I had a guy in my career who would call me out every single time I signed a contract. I would call him out constantly. He never wanted to fight. I couldn't get a return phone call. The UFC wanted to make the match. He would call me, but only after I signed a contract. Once I figured out what he was doing, I loved the move. I love the move that I'm protecting the guy, not even telling you guys his name. I liked it. He taught me something. He's safe. He could look like he's got bravado. And Izzy could double, triple this thing down. Hey, make this real easy for you, Chimaev. Dana White says you're 4 away at welterweight. You come up to middleweight, I'll make sure you're 2 away. And I really don't care what 2 they are, but they need to be in the top 5. You get in there with Strickland, you get in there with Burns, you get in there with Colby, you get in there with Masvidal. You get 2 of those any way you want to do it. I'll fast track you to a shot at my strap. Because they're just fainting anyway. It's not going to happen. Chimaev's been very clear where he's going to go. Dana's been very clear about the path he's on with him. But Chimaev broke script. Chimaev knows that he's not going up there. He knows he's not getting the title fight. He knows that he's chosen to go 170, and he broke the rule anyway because it's good for attention. It was the right thing to do. Chimaev might be the biggest star in the sport right now. I realize that isn't literal. Conor McGregor still exists. George Masvidal, anybody named Diaz. I get the hierarchy, but Chimaev is a little bit different. In all fairness, he is a little bit different. Conor can make any fight a big fight. He's got to work for it. Colby Covington can make any fight a big fight. He's got to work for it. He's got a strategy. Chimaev right now is the one guy. He can fight anybody. It doesn't matter. People are coming out. Pundits are coming out. The audience is tuning in. That's not going to be true forever, but it is right now. We know so little about him. You could grab anybody in the top 10 of 2 different weight classes. Anybody. Throw a dart at the wall. And people will be clamoring to see what Chimaev can do with them. So in that regard, it does add. I mean, you just want to talk about who's the greatest commodity? Who can you guarantee you're going to monetize and get an ROI on? You're going to have some really good choices, but Chimaev is the only guy. It can be anybody, and it can be in 2 different weights. Very special. But he's getting there because little things like this. He pays attention. He follows the sport. He's a student of the game. He can fight his ass off. He's got guys as good as Gustafsson saying that he outworks them. Swearing he could go up to 205 pounds. Says he never needs another takedown. He get it all done on his feet. I mean, that's how legends are made. They just start in the gym. They slip out to the internet. Somebody else was in there. Then you get a source to confirm it. Yes, it's not an exaggeration by Gus. Yes, the guy does work out 4 times a day. Yes, he's a great kickboxer. I mean, this is how legends are made. It's one piece of it. It's not just done in the octagon. I say that because Chimaev's doing this right, but Chimaev has taken a page out of Adesanya's book, and Adesanya let him have it. Adesanya let it go. Like he didn't even hear it. And I just think it's the right time to respond. I also think that Chimaev needs to step up fast. He's going to have to be the one to do it, to say, I'm not a welterweight. I'm going middleweight. The question is always asked in reverse. The athlete, the team, the coaches, the promotion, everybody will ask, how low can you go and win? When the question should be, how heavy can I go and win? So my life is better. So I can have the energy and the calories and the nutrition to not get sick when I'm overtraining in camp. So I don't just have to focus on beating the scale the day before. I can focus on the techniques to deal with this guy. And Izzy's really showing us this very well. Izzy was closer to 170 pounds than he was to 205 pounds. He went up anyway. Israel Adesanya walking around, not training, nothing. Take his clothes, put him on, he's 193 pounds. He cuts and drops less weight than any champion of the modern era, but he doesn't get credit for it. He should. That's what you should do, particularly as this sport gets younger and younger, and now we even have kids preparing, going and doing pancrase and things like this, but there's still a weigh-in and a scale. Now you got the crazy dad that's trying to cut his 9-year-old. I see it all the time. I'm a wrestling coach. I see it all the time. It's borderline child abuse to cut a child who's 9 years old. We see it all the time. It's the culture of the sport. It needs to be done with. Some leader's going to have to step forward and do it, and one did. His name's Israel Adesanya. But unless he gets credit, unless he gets attention, unless it gets a few headlines, people don't know. When you're copying Izzy, there's more stuff to. You're getting me off topic, guys. Come back. What in the hell is Israel Adesanya letting a welterweight call him out for?